Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I'm with the great ShaiVA or ShaiVA as well, because I know in your lyrics you always reference to yourself as like VA. So you'll probably see a little bit of the difference. The spelling as well sometimes is a little bit different. You got the capital V and the capital A. So super excited to have. How do you prefer to be referred to? Actually, instead of me just trying to guess it, how do you prefer to be referred to?
ShaiVA.
ShaiVA. You know, it's a common theme with the podcast for me to fuck up rappers' names. So I do apologize straight out the bat, but ShaiVA obviously came through. He's just dropped a new album as well, New Realm Order, that just came out. And in my humble opinion, I think it's the best project you've dropped thus far. I think the music sounds the best. So props to you, man. But it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
I appreciate that, bro, man. Like I said, I'm honored to be here, man. I'm always honored to speak my journey to anyone who's enlightened to hear it. So, I'm glad to be here, brother.
Well, we were talking before the podcast, and then I realized halfway through us talking that we weren't recording because we were going to get onto some interesting topics. But you did say that, like, and I've read that you've had a pretty tough journey up until this point. Like, a lot of people talk about an artist's journey, but yours has been a little bit different.
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy journey, man. It's been a crazy journey. I feel like I've had an interesting lifestyle. I've grown up interested in general, just my upbringing and everything and how I was raised or what I came into or how that shaped me. But as far as specifically to the music, definitely came in, in a unique situation. I didn't have much when I started or when I realized that I wanted to take music seriously. And I really went through the battle to upcome as an independent artist the hard way. But yeah, I definitely had an interesting journey, man, getting to this point, battling so many different things to become the artist I am today. But ultimately it just shaped me, gave me that mental callus, built that strength and understand, like, if I want to do this, you have to really be built for it.
Well, I always wonder, like, when you start the journey, like, where were you at mentally, emotionally? Because it's like one thing to, say you'll do it, and there's another thing to actually do it. Like, to be like, all right, I'm 100% committing now. I've told whoever I want to tell, whether you told anybody, but like, where were you at emotionally? Where were you at mentally? And like, what was the kind of point where you're like, nah, enough's enough. I got to go for it.
Yeah, that's a great question right there, man. Shoot. I think that question right there speaks directly to who I am as far as what got me here. And I'm a very determined and motivated individual. So anything that happens to me that is, that could be looked at as detrimental or a setback, it motivates me instead of puts me in a place of sadness or depression. So I'll say when I first began music, when I first started doing music, I was in a fun place. I was just doing it as a hobby, just to, see where it went. And then one thing led to another. The people around me really embraced me and said I was a dope artist and you really could do it. You got the sound already, just confirming for me. Then I took it serious. Like I said, I ended up losing everything. I was homeless. And that's where I really gained the motivation, because I just felt hurt. When you go through certain times in life, you start losing friends, people start talking about you, you telling people you gonna rap and they looking at you like, man, you need to get a job, or you need to do this or that and the third, or you need to focus on this. You're like, man, nah, I'm about to, everything that was said to me, I took it as fuel and motivation. And I'll say just my overall content at that time was just I wanted to prove myself, relentless. Relentless would be the best way to describe myself. Resilient is how I was feeling.
It's always interesting though that, like, I've spoken to a few artists now, and they talk about when they decide to go full-time artist, and they decide when they fully commit, and they have people around them who are like, you shouldn't do it. Like, there are always people around them who are like, you need to get a proper job, you need to build a career, you need to get stable money. It's always interesting that the people closest to you are usually the ones who are like, "Hey, are you sure you want to do this?"
Right. Yeah. Um, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, it looked like it timed out for a second. I'm sorry about that.
No, good.
But yeah, I mean, really, my friends, I'll say my family weren't really the most supportive of it. That's where specifically, like my family, I didn't have a traditional mom, dad, and all of this. I come from a single parent home, so like usually in a single parent environment, and when you come from maybe middle class or poor environment, don't really have much men's meat type of vibe. Once you come to an age where you're grown, you kind of on you it's all for you. You got to figure out life for yourself. So I'll say that's when my friends, really came in and held me down where I didn't have really nothing, and I just needed somebody or some people to be there. My friends were there. My family, like I said in the beginning, they weren't really supportive of it. I had to really prove myself to the people around me, even the people that were supportive through the journey. I've had to even prove to them that I can really do this. Because, once you hop into this field, it's deeper than, okay, can you make a good song or two? It's, can you really make a hit song? And then when you make that hit record, can you make that, transition into other things that can help you keep growing as an artist? And it's just a crazy business that's, ongoing.
Yeah, I think it's also different to releasing a song, to releasing lots of songs, to releasing an album, and to do it year in, year out. I think, like, to be fair, I'm sure there are a lot of people who say they want to be artists and they just aren't cut out for it, or they don't realize the actual commitment that it requires of an individual to be like, hey, like the story of the one album go big is not reality. That doesn't really happen. You got to like grind for years, and whether they release a studio album or EPs or projects, like everyone's releasing music and everyone's doing it for a long period of time. So I think like it depends on where the advice is. It's like, hey, you can do it, but you got to be like willing to know that like it's going to take some time and it's going to take money and investment before you get return. Like that's the hardest thing about creating content is that, especially as an artist, like music videos cost a lot of money. They're like, paying producers and beat makers and getting everything sounding good cost money. Like promotion costs money. Like you spend a lot of money before you even have anything back.
Right. That's right. Like, you completely right. It's you just, once you got to figure, then even before you get to that, like if you want to step back and get to creating the sound, just simply creating a sound that's marketable, for people to buy into you, or having what it takes to create a sound, or finding the pieces around you to create the proper sound that makes sense to who you are as an artist. And then once you get that down, then understanding the business of how to get your sound heard. So it's definitely steps and so many levels to it. Every win, every little small thing is looked at as a win in this business. And really it's like, if it's one of those things, like it's like going to the NBA or doing anything, you have to be fully committed. You have to work harder than people that are just doing a 9 to 5. Like this is what I do full time with my life. So I'm on it. When I wake up, I look at what P. Diddy said. He takes naps periodically, like 4-hour naps throughout his day. So he's staying rested, but he has all the time throughout the day to stay on task and focus on getting to the next level each and every day.
I didn't realize P. Diddy did that.
Yeah, that's one of his that's one of those quotes. When you'll hear certain things that'll stick. That's one of those things that stuck with me because I move like that. I don't sleep all day or none of that. I try to get the most out of my 24. I feel like as an artist, you need as much time to hone in not only your artistry, but your business understanding and strategy through the industry.
So talk to me about that. Do you just take 4 hours as a nap when you need it? Or like, do you have a set schedule like throughout the day where you're like, hey, usually this time I'll take some sleep?
I feel like I have a natural schedule. Like once you start moving a certain way, you'll kind of have your time periods where you know around this time, I'll probably take a nap and get up and boot here. But I would, you could say it's kind of like a schedule because I really operate off the same type of times. I get up very early. I make sure that I'm up in the morning. I enjoy the morning time a lot because, you know, it's just when you're first waking up, you get your natural thoughts. You know, it's usually peaceful in the morning. So I just handle my business and, you know, it allows me to be on track for the day. So I put in my work through the morning, afternoon. I might take a nap or whatever if I'm feeling a little tired. Or it's really when however I'm feeling. If I feel tired, take a nap for a few, get up, get back to work, write some music, market, do whatever I got to do to, you know, get my music heard by the next person or get the next opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I'm a morning person as well. Like, you know, I always find that, yeah, getting up in the morning, my head is clear. Like you don't have the weight of the day on you yet. So it's like, you can kind of like, it's like a reset. And I just
Right.
love that about the morning. And like, I also love the idea that there are mornings where you get up and other people aren't up. And it's like, I'm starting to hustle early. Like there's kind of like a cool little self win that you get with doing stuff like that.
I agree with you. I agree. I like feeling like I'm the first person or one of the first people up. Like when I'm up, I'm literally like, that's my time. Cause like you said, once the day gets going, there's so much things going on. You might get distracted by what you might not have completed something you wanted to do that day because of something else that happened, you know, and I kind of really go with the flow with what's going on. I know what I'm going to do every day, but you never know what could happen or what I decide to do. Cause as an artist, you know, it's a very open game. You know what I'm saying? Anything could come up. The situation could happen. You could have to travel over here. And, you know, I'm always on call to what's next.
Does it happen often, like the random travels? Like, how does that work? What is it usually that you have to travel for?
So I'll usually travel for like, if it's a show or an event, or I do, so I'm very into, I'm the type of artist, I do everything myself. So you see my platform, that's all done by me, my own marketing, that's everything. Nobody helped me get that traction, you know, I got it all myself to the point where I'm a social media manager also. I'm also, you know, behind the industry with working with other artists and building them alongside of building myself. That's my, you know, how I'm self-employed, how I eat, because realistically, like you said, it's very hard, you know, to make money off of your actual music. It takes some time. So with everything that goes into your publishing and just your streaming build up or however it goes, it just takes time to make actual revenue with your music. You can make money, but sustainable, making a living, buying a house, doing this, and that. So I found another lane, which has helped me propel even quicker as an independent entity in a business in general. And it, you know, I'm one of those people that I don't put it out there like I'm doing this, that, and the 30s. If you know, I'm part of actual business. So back to your point with that as well, I might meet clients or I might go to LA. That's where my business is based of. And where we're just, you know, getting it started up and, you know, transitioning into bigger things with it. But we just have the basis and the formula of how we're going to operate and grow other artists and entities, companies, etc. So with that, it all intertwines back into the music with me, because that's how I can invest more or be, you know, learn also, because I'm doing, you know, industry work, marketing and stuff. So as I'm building and working with other people, helping other people grow, I'm learning how to grow myself.
So what is your business like? What's the kind of plan for it? Because you said it's like starting, it's growing. Like, what's the plan? What's the kind of big view for it?
Well, the big view really is to make it like a marketing label sort of thing. We're going to have distribution as well. So, but we're going to be an international label. And, you know, we plan on pretty much working with all sorts of people and acts, getting them to the next level, specifically in international. And we're partnered with a guy that's from Asia. He's from China, and he's, you know, invested into our business and with his clientele. So pretty much we're just really trying to take the marketing and the music industry label and all international wave and fuse what we know with them, because they need a lot of international acts or upcoming people may not have the knowledge to grow their platform or have their stuff distributed with a major independence type of thing. So we're like dot connectors as well, just plugging people into where they need help, just that type of thing. Just all like, you can come to us for pretty much anything, we can get it done.
Awesome. I think it's more common now for people to start looking at distribution deals and marketing deals as opposed to label deals. Like, I think, people are starting to realize that like they have a certain skill set and then there are certain parts of the business that are missing in terms of what they can deliver. And so like, instead of signing your full project, you just like, hey, I want to like just help this particular aspect of it. So, I mean, I think it's just the growth of hip hop now is like, we're starting to see like different businesses focused on specific areas of the music rather than just like encapsulating it all in one.
Because it's adapting, and I feel quarantine, that era changed the music game a lot, because like that's the era I came up in. Like once the quarantine happened, I was in a position to where I was already locked in 100% to my music and my art and coming up, and it allowed me to figure out and focus on different strategies to grow and get my platform and be seen. And then my song Basketball ended up blowing up eventually during quarantine, and it's still trending to this day, which has been helping me grow as an artist and as a brand around what I'm doing with my new music and what I got to come as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say that the phone is vibrating so I can hear it on the.
Right. Yeah, my phone, I try to put it on. I don't know how to like turn the notifications off for real. Like my phone be going crazy the whole day.
I think if you put it on do not disturb, that's how you can put it on. Look at us. While we're here, we're giving people phone life hacks.
Got it.
But yeah, that's how my friends are always like, hey man, like I just put my phone on do not disturb. It helps them. But yeah, I think it's no, go for it.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, because I have do not disturb set up for just a certain period of time. Like at a certain period of time at night, I don't want to be disturbed. I don't want a bunch of notifications. So, but I didn't realize that you can do it like that. Just it can shut down the whole whatever's going on. So I'm gonna start doing that more often. Now I know you just put me on the game life hack.
I mean, I put my phone on airplane mode when I sleep. Like when I'm sleeping, I'm like, no one's disrupting that. Like, my mom was like, hey, like, what if there's an emergency? And I'm like, it is what it is. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's weird because I do get messages as well, like at weird hours. I got friends overseas and stuff like that. And so like, I don't want my phone going off. So I'm just like airplane mode. I've been doing it for years as well. It just helps you sleep so much more on airplane mode or do not disturb, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that's why I definitely do that during night. Like I have a set. So once I hear it's a certain point in time, people just can't call me all crazy and text me, or I get a whole bunch of notifications because it's time to wind down for the night.
Does it kind of feel weird getting so many messages, like, your phone blowing up on a regular basis, or like, when you drop tracks, drop singles, and you have a lot of like people going, hey, this is really good. Does it feel kind of surreal in a way to get that, appreciation and get that like feedback?
Man, it definitely is. It's crazy. Like sometimes it's hard to even for me to believe like that it's going on like that. Like, or like when really, I think the most thing that I'm proud of myself is just having a song that trends, that people, think about every day. Like it's crazy to see a song do that. You know what I mean? And we're in a game today where you can, if you have the right budget, you can, invest your way into getting your song to do something like that, or getting it to reach certain audiences or levels but it did that organically. Like I didn't have a big budget coming in. Everything I did was out of the mud, and just me wanting it and going beyond the measures and sacrificing things that I needed to stay focused on my dream and my goals. And God, the universe responded to the to what I put out there. So I think it's definitely surreal having all the people showing love and people knowing me in different areas and recognizing me when I'm around. And in different places. I'm from Virginia. I can go to many places and people know who I am. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, do you like it? Like, I wonder, like, when it's starting to happen, do you like it? Or have you started to be like, I can kind of see what being really famous is, and must be tough.
Well, see, with me, like, I feel like I handle it different than people. So I'm not an arrogant, talent or act. I'm very humble, and even in my music and my art, I'm very vulnerable and introspective or retrospective to what's going on in my life. So I make music to inspire my audience and for them to feel or relate, whatever they may be going through. I try to put it in a way where they can learn from it and be like, dang, I've been through that. I'm going through that. I like the way he said that, you feel me? That inspired me to get over this. You know what I'm saying? If you were homeless, I want to inspire you to beat that. It's nothing. It's part of life. If you don't got nothing to eat, I'm inspiring you to go figure it out and go get something to eat. You feel me? I've been there. Whatever. I'm a reality artist. So that's just where I get my inspiration from at the end of the day.
How did you get through that stuff? Like, do you have any like tips for people? Because you were, like you said, you were living out of your car, you were homeless. Food becomes a real challenge, and it's almost like it becomes a crazy kind of crossroads where it's like,
Yeah.
this becomes my long term, or like I got to make it back. And like for a lot of people, unfortunately, it does become their long term, and they kind of get stuck in the trap of like living on the street. But how did you manage to be like, this is not permanent? Like, what did you have to do?
Well, one, I had great friends too. I had great friends that just that knew I was bigger than what my situation was at the time. So my one of my best friends, Ro, shout out to Ro when he see this, him allowing me to when I was in the heart of being homeless in the winter and just really, really was getting bad for me, just was like, man, just come down here on the campus, the Norfolk Camp NSU. And I stayed on campus and I made my name on campus. And he gave me an opportunity to, stay in this dorm and be in that environment, with all those people. I made a lot of friends, connections, and, and just was myself, was genuine, was real with everyone I came across with where I was at and where I was going to be. And all of those people that seen me at that time, since we're speaking on it and from what I told them and what I will become, they seen me become that and more. So all they do is praise me and stuff. But back to what you asked, I just, I utilize my friends' help and what the help I did, them put me in situations, I just figured it out. I did what I had to do to eat, you know what I'm saying? I can't even, bro, that's a crazy question for real. Cause when I really sit back and think about it or put myself in there, it wasn't easy. Like I couldn't even tell you I just did this or that. Like sometimes I had to do illegal stuff. Then I did illegal stuff. I did everything it took, to get over it. You feel me? And I just say what ultimately the universe or God or whatever anyone believes in, the spiritual realm is very important. When getting yourself through physical experiences, sometimes you can't control everything through just you have to go beyond it. And for me, that's what works. Asking for help through something greater, and then they will respond to you if you reach out in a genuine way and figure out how to connect with what you believe in, whether it's religion or whatever. I try not to get into that too much because that's a whole nother thing, a whole nother subject. But that's just my advice, is to tap into what you believe in that's greater than you, and follow it, and, you know, never give up. You know what I'm saying? Understand that God gives his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers. So when you're going through something that is, you know, extreme, if you're living through it and you making it, obviously you're going through it to become stronger. So when you do, you'll look at that and you'll thank God, or you'll thank that situation for making you who you are, and then just having that battle strike. And, you know what I mean? It makes you different from most people. So that's what I'll say, you know, not to, you know, run off about it, but I feel it's many different things, but the main thing is just the spirit above.
Well, I mean, man, you run off, go for it. That's what we're here for. So I'd rather you go for it and run off and go on tangents, because I think the cool part of like artists is that, like, I think you find thoughts as you talk. I think you find kind of like different perspectives.
I'm very, when I come into interviews and anything, this is how I'm whatever, like this, we're having a real conversation. So I try to keep it to who I am as possible. I don't want it to feel like, you know, because some like, you're a very good interviewer. I let interviewers know off the rip if they're good, or, you know, I just try to be real, because I want people to get better in what they're doing, if this is what they really want to do. But you do this for real, just off the fact that, like, you're not, you don't have quite, you're just going with the flow. So you're going to get the realest me. What you did was your research. So I feel like most interviewers or podcast interviewers that I've come across so far, some people have done a little research, I heard a couple songs, but some, like, even I've had an interview where they didn't do the research at all. They over there asking me certain things. It's like, you could have, like, so it rubs me the wrong way. And then I don't, like you said, I don't want to come back now. You know what I mean? So it's just about, like, when we're doing these things, you have to understand the importance of what we're doing. There's somebody that loves ShaiVA. So they really want to know how I think, what I've been through, and how I got over that. You know what I'm saying? Or there's some people that don't know me at all, want to see what I'm talking about. Well, who is he? What is he even about? You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important. So we want to get the best version of what I could say, or what I'm thinking about, or whatever, when it comes to these things.
Well, I appreciate the feedback, man. And, you know, from my perspective, like, anyone I interview, I always want to have a genuine curiosity as to who they are and how they got to where they are. And there's, like, you cannot do that without listening to some of the music. Like, obviously you can't listen to every song that every artist has ever done, but, like, listening to the music, you know, reading bios, looking at other interviews that they've done. Like, I don't know, it feels weird, because I never want to ask a question that's like, how did you come up with your name? I always say that's the worst question that any interviewer can ever ask, because it's going to get the same answer that everybody else gets. It's the same shit. It's the same origin story. It's a pre-planned answer. And, like, to be honest, I don't care that much about, like, how you got your name. Like, it's most names are, like, you know, linked to some childhood story, or someone called me this and then that. And it's like, okay, cool.
That's what it was. Yeah, it just ends up somebody, usually 8, 9 times out of 10, a person was given that name, their rap name, their artist name. They were given that or inspired that from something somebody gave them, and they made it their own thing. So, which was in the case of how ShaiVA came about. One of my good friends, one of my right-hand mans, he was just like, man, ShaiVA, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you represent Virginia. You're going to represent Virginia. And he's, you know, and I got a lot of visionaries around me. I don't have a bunch of yes men. I have visionaries. So, like, I'm at the point now where they see where I've taken my craft to, and they know, you know, they tell me, like I tell anybody now, like, I have the realest group around me, you know what I'm saying? That, like, from the phases I've seen to where I started to where I am now, to where they feel like I'm one of the greatest rappers that they ever heard. That's how they truly feel. You feel me? Like, I don't tell them, they will say this every time they see me. You know what I'm saying? So I know I'm already successful within me proving what I'm doing on the just area or levels of my city, Fredericksburg, you know what I'm saying? It's never really been an artist that has took it to where I've taken it and will take it. And, you know, I hold that chip on my shoulder because I'm a person that I always seen myself making it big in something, whether it was basketball or when I tried to do the work, try to work a 9 to 5, I worked the best I could. When I was in the streets, I tried to trap the best I wanted, whatever it was. I wanted to be the best or do the best so I could put myself in position for the next thing. So, and one thing I'll say to lead off that, a lot of people like to judge what people do. I think sometimes it's not what you do, it's how you do it,
Well, something I wanted to ask you before we got on to this tangent was like, it's interesting because like morality and like right and wrong is very subjective, and the survival instinct is stronger than like the morality instinct, in my opinion. Like, I always think that like it's hard to judge action sometimes because you're not in another person's shoes. And so like, I can only imagine what it's like to be pushed into a corner and you don't have a choice. You've got to fight for your life, or you've got to fight for survival. So the rules of the game don't really apply when you're fighting to survive. And so like, these are the things that kind of like I think about that, and you said it yourself, you did some things that were illegal just to like survive. And it's like, but the rules,
not even like certain things that, not to cut you off, but certain things that rappers glorify. That's the things that I've done. Not nothing, and I'm not painting a picture of me, nothing crazy, but a lot of things that rappers are glorified, that's something that I will do. I'm not really even going to talk about that. Or if I do, I'm going to say it in a way where it's an understanding of what we're saying here. That's the type of artist I am. But, I'm putting it in a unique form, the trap conscious form. So I use powerful beats and stuff like that, because I understand that in today's game, that's what catches the listener. You want to catch the listener in as quick as possible, feel me? So with me, that's just what I studied from that, and then what my ability is, and meshing it together to bring that type of art out.
Well, how do you feel about the glorification of kind of the streets? Because that, you're right, 100%. That is 100% what it is. It sounds cool. Visually, it looks good. Like, I mean, we see it in movies all the time. Like the best movies are like, gangster movies, or like, drug dealing. Like they sell because they're entertaining. And then when you listen to it, it's also entertaining. And it's like, there's this kind of like, yeah, as you said, glorification. But how do you feel about it?
I mean, now, I feel like, I don't want to say the wrong thing here, because it's deeper. It's deeper than, what it seems. So I think at the end of the day, like, I respect any artist that made their way, that's first and foremost. Like, I respect any artist that put themselves in position to do this, because it's a hard, it's a tough game. But in the game, I feel like it's a format, And when I say it's a format, like it's a certain way that they want, the music to be or sound, and that's the acts they're looking for right now. What we're talking about, that is the glorification of gangster rap, the drill scene, stuff like that. I don't like where I'm at with it. At the end of the day, everyone needs an outlet. So I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't want them to have no spotlight. I don't want them to win. I want anybody who has a talent, or anybody that, is putting themselves in position to, get there. But when you're glorifying killing and black on black, and my thing is, I'm always about uplifting the people, especially our people. You feel me? I just would, want more of that, or put more spotlight on Black excellence. It can be a balance. It's a duality to life. I'm not saying get rid of that, because it's real. It's really killing, and it's real shit going on. But there's also positivity as well. And I'm not saying that positivity doesn't get, there aren't positive lanes, or there's not, but we know that positivity isn't in the forefront, I would say, in today's game. So that's why, with me, I try to blend it. I don't glorify or talk about, I'm not a gang artist, but my music is real. So I will still speak on certain things or put stuff in a certain way where you'll understand that I know how it goes. But but overall, I guess I'm not really with glorifying just killing in music or killing each other, you feel me? And or self-snitching, putting yourself in position not to be an artist no more. That's what I want that shit to stop. Like if you a gangster or that's what it is, be that, but put it in a way where you're not indicting yourself or the people around you. You know, that's where I'm at. And that's just for the people, just for the sake of the artist, just for yourself. Like do you want to be free? You know what I mean? Like it's that they love putting us in a cage. So I'm just at a point where we just need to have more common sense. And you know, I know the environments is crazy, but let's not just fall into what the product of the environment is. Let's be bigger and better, you know what I mean? And that's really starts with just cutting out silly shit. Like niggas don't gotta do all the, you know, unnecessary dissing or smoke on the ops and all of that stuff, little stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. At the same time, you gotta look at it where once it already starts and people start, you know, talking about the dead and going crazy on somebody's homie and they really killing each other, it's kind of, you know, in a sense too late.
I agree. I mean, I think that like, you know, music is an art form and that like there will always be the killing and like that part of it. I mean, that's in movies. So like that's what people like to listen to. They like to watch and they like to listen to things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. And I'm talking about most people within society. But I think right. the real problem is like when people legitimately think that it's okay to kill or rob and steal over songs. And it's like, right. To me, like music is purely art and it should be viewed as purely art and not as reality. And so like there is a difference between every artist and the music they make and the person who they are as a person, right. Like deep down, because like, you know, 50 Cent has said it time and time again that when he goes into business meetings, he's not 50 Cent, he's Curtis Jackson. 50 right. Cent is the image of being an artist and what right. he became famous for. But as an individual, he's still Curtis Jackson. Like he's not 50 Cent all the time.
Right. That's real. I'm gonna say where I'm different. I'm a rare artist because I feel like I'm one of the more truer artists. Like who I am in my music is pretty much who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying like you know, music is creativity. So when I'm in that studio, it's a whole different energy that I'm putting into it. So I've turned that switch on when it's time. But as far as like what I'm on, like a lot of artists, like they'll be like this, they'll be a humble guy, but when they hop in that booth, I kill a nigga, I shoot a nigga, you feel me? That's the persona. Like that's not me. When I hop in the booth, I'm just putting I'm putting, you know, the best me into my message. I'm not trying to be nothing else. You know, when I'm ShaiVA, I'm just the best creative version of me.
Yeah, I think every artist is a version of themselves. Like there's a part of them, like you know, in the podcast, I'm probably my most outgoing self in the podcast because it's like the version that you have to switch on. Am I like this 24/7? No. Do I have times where I'm like, I don't want to talk? Obviously. So like, I think everyone draws on their own energy and they figure out, you know, what energy it is because like, as you said, you find the most creative version of yourself in the booth. But like, there are times where I'm sure you don't feel creative and you're like, I just need a rest, or I'm like, this is not clicking for me, or whatever it is. So it's definitely all within the artist. It's just like extreme versions of it to bring it out and bring out the best.
Right. That's a fact. And every artist is different. You know what I'm saying? And what they're trying to do, or what their vision is, or how they want people to feel. You know, I just know that, you know, music, you know, sound, it's a frequency at the end of the day. So there's low frequencies, there's high frequencies. So I try to, you know, at the end of the day, like I try to put high frequencies out there for people to catch on to. You know, and that's what I feel like makes art, you know, makes my art different from people, or makes my art different from a lot of the artists in today's game. Or, you know, it's artists that there's definitely artists out there that vibrate at a high frequency when they create, but I think that's what lacks on the mainstream.
Why do you think that is?
Just when you say why do I think it? I think so because when we spoke on earlier, the format of what the art they want pushed. I think if most of the art they want to be pushed is gangster rap, that's more of a low vibration frequency that they will want to be out. And I think personally, like, ignorant sells, I feel like it could just be it could be for many reasons. It could be for, that's what they feel like is going to make money. It could be a deeper reason. It could be to keep our people moving and thinking like that. It's however you want to see it, or however, we want to dive into it. But that's kind of how I personally feel. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Does it make it hard to listen to a lot of the music with that perspective?
Yeah, well, I don't listen to new rap for real. And like, I'm the type, like, I'm a real artist, so I'm really focused on my sound. So when you're an artist, you listening to every single thing in the world, you're gonna end up biting and sounding, and you doing what everybody else is doing anyway. So it's good to understand what the comp's doing or what the wave's going on. So I'm always, and plus how I do, like I refer to my business and what I do, I'm always on the media. So I'm always hearing, and I have a feel for what's going on just by working with different artists or seeing different things. So I'm tapped in, but I'm not listening to everybody every day. I'm focused on me. And if I'm going to listen to other artists, it's going to be artists that I grew up on, greats, or people that I look at as the greatest of all time, to learn and pick up on things from their art and what they did that, I could mirror in my own way and put into my art. So, I try not, this is how I look at it. I listen to different genres of music too. I'm not even just listening to rap.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because, I listened to a Spotify playlist the other day. I was just looking through to find some new music and just seeing who was on. And like, they all kind of sound like Lil Wayne in a way. Like, it feels like they're kind of mimicking the style of Lil Wayne, and from each song to each artist, I found it quite tough to find artists that really sound different. Like, I was like, I don't really see the difference between this song and that song.
And these are on mainstream playlists that you're looking through?
Well, I just had a look. Like, every now and again, I just go to see what's like popping, like what is being pushed, what is like going through. And it was just like, I heard the same sound for 20, 30 tracks.
I feel like Lil Wayne, I feel like it's certain, there's sounds. There's a few sounds that are like recycled. You might have that Wayne type of sound, and you got that drill, Chief Keef in them type of sound. Then you might have the NBA YoungBoy, No Cap type of sound, the Kodak in them type of sound. So it's a couple of sounds, that are recycled that I feel like that I'm continuously hearing, or the Baby and Gunna and them type of sound. Then those be the sounds, and it'd be a whole different type of artist doing those sounds.
Yeah, it was just interesting to me that it was like, I really don't see the differentiation in the beat. I really don't see the different, like, I wasn't like, okay, something stands out. I did find one track. I got to make sure I shout out the one track that I found, because I was like, this stood out. Give me one sec. It was Mike Dimes' Home. That was Mike Dimes. So shout out Mike Dimes, because his voice was different. The beat was popping. It was different. It wasn't like, because I was listening through, I was like, oh, this is different to all the other tracks that I heard. And so straight away, it like caught me. Otherwise, I just skip it, because I'm like, it feels, I'm going to scroll kind of through. I'm going to listen to the voice a little bit, listen to the beat, and kind of go, And that's what most of it was. But I think there's still room for artists to be them. Like, I think we should be trying to get artists to do something unique and really find their own voice in hip hop, rather than emulate another voice in hip hop.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, and it's easier said than done, and that's what I work on every day. Is just creating my own unique voice in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And just having something new, and when people come across it, you know, they can like, yo, this is different from what I usually hear or what I usually feel in music. You know, that's what I do it for. And also being versatile. I enjoy making different sounds too at the same time. Doing, it's different type of producers. So I don't go on YouTube and look for beats. I have producers that send through the email. So I have a lot of different producers that send beats, and then you can kind of catch the wave of sounds of what's going on through what the producers are sending to.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's also what's underrated. And I have this conversation with one of my friends is like the ear of the artist. Like, because like you said, you will pick the beats that you decide are like, working for you. And some people have amazing ears. They just like find these beats, or they find producers that really work with their sound. And that's an art form in itself, to be able to be like, this specific sound or this specific beat is different, and I know how to bring the most out of it. And I think that's a really unique and skill that is so important, especially in hip hop.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think that's what, makes beautiful songs and, great artists, when you find that sound blend that has never really been heard, and people are just like rocking with it. You feel me? That's what it's about, recreating or innovating sounds. And then, when you do that, it's going to inspire in a whole nother group of people, just like we were just talking about. I guess that's just how it goes. When you have that's why I like the Biggie, Pacs, Jay-Z's get talking about so much, because they influenced the Lil Waynes, and then Lil Wayne influenced the Young Thugs, and it's an ongoing cycle of how it goes. Like, when that one next sound takes off, people are gonna, oh, that's what's working, and everyone wants to create off that sound. Then a couple of people might work for them, then it'll fizzle out, then that next sound comes and repeats itself.
I wanted to ask about your music, because I have heard you do use auto tune. You use like a few different like things to change your voice in certain tracks, but like you've also got a good natural voice. Is there a plan to like use your natural voice and not kind of change it? Because I don't know, I'm a fan of like deep voices in hip hop rather than the auto tune. But I was interested because like spending so much time for me, not only listening to hip hop, but editing and like listening to the voice, and like there's certain voices that I'm like, oh, that could sound good on like a kind of like a darker beat, or like just on its own. So I was wondering, is that something that is on the radar for you? Like, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, man. Nah, I mean, that's what I've always been told. I'm very experimental in my music. So I do so many different things, but yeah, I'm even mixing it up. I got a lot of unreleased music. I have songs where I start off with my natural regular voice, and then I'll switch it to, I mean, sometimes, I can really like utilize my voice. So sometimes I'm able to use my voice as an instrument to where it'll sound like I'm using auto-tune, and I really wasn't. It's just how I made it sound. So it's just really learning and learning my voice and just getting better in the studio with my engineers, that chemistry. But I definitely got some songs on the way using my natural voice, of course.
Because I think, it would be cool to see the difference between like the projects you've released and then a full project of like, hey, this is my natural voice and we're going to do different beats, because obviously it does something different. So like, I think it just gives you diversity as an artist. And I think honestly, that's what's missing, is a lot of people emulate, and that goes back to emulation, is like they're manipulating their own voice to sound like what's popping or what's popular. And I think if people stuck to their own voice more, we would see a little bit more diversity. Like you would see you could use the same technical principles, you would just have a different sound to it. And I think everyone's voice has a different sound frequency and it works with different beats. I think that's kind of the key. I think that's like the missing piece, is like, hey, like you're cutting yourself short by replicating others. Like yes, learn off them. Like, yes, study, yes, see what made them good, but use it in your own way is probably the key.
Right. Then what I do is, like, when I use auto-tune, I try to use it in the way where I'm not using it to like hide behind it. You know, a lot of, I always barely use it. I'm literally using it to just get that point or the mood of the song how I want it. And it's really just atmosphere, and understanding too that is what a lot of the modern kids use. So I try to balance that, but I also have older, or like I have people. I have an older fan base too, like people that are in their late 30s, early 40s that like my music. So I definitely, and they like really when I just rap and no auto tune. So I am able to do both well, and I definitely have a lot of music where it's demonstrating the both best of both worlds and stuff. So
I think that's key. And, you always want the artist to grow. You always want the artist to get better. And I think a lot of artists struggle when they find a sound, but then they don't develop because they're
right.
kind of like a flash in the pan. It's hot. Everyone loves it. And then it's like, okay, what's next? And I think we see that quite a bit.
Like one thing my fans like about me is that I surprise them. Like you can't predict what I'm gonna do next. Like if you go like, so I got 3 projects lined up, and just and then have you heard my project Earth is Hell?
I think I skimmed through. I didn't listen to the full thing.
Okay, I'll say out of all my projects, that's the project where I use my natural voice the most. I'll say about 70% of it. Didn't really use too much auto tune on that project. I would check that project out. I definitely, especially tracks like Dear America, Legendary, Lawless Game.
What was the feedback on it? Like, what did your fans say?
They love it. They love it. It's one of my best. It's one of my best albums. I'll say New Realm Order. Then when I just dropped that project, just like before I dropped that one. So I look at it like, so Earth is Hell was my best project, like overall, lyrically wise, and how it's put together, quality. Radio Ready was my favorite. And that was the album. That's my most streamed project. And that's the album where I have the biggest song with basketball. And it's doing this thing on TikTok. That was an experimental project. And when I dropped that project, when I first dropped it, I feel like that's a project it caught on later on. People caught on to what I did, because that sound that the basketball sound, like when I created that, it was never really heard before, which was what made the song truly different. It was an auto tune or melodic song, but what made that particular melodic song different from other melodic songs is that I told a story in it. And that's what I do in a lot of my songs. I'm not just hopping on it, just freestyling this shit. I come in, I prepare my music, and then I choose how I want my cadence to be or how I want my audience to feel it. And, and I live with the results where, I know some people might, one person may not like this song, someone will love this. I have so many types of songs. So, and I do that because, first, that's just the type of person I am. I have a diverse personality. I'm not just one way, you know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people aren't, but I just display that in my music where I just have different feels. I look at it as moods, or I make like in a playlist of type of way, like you can just put my music on shuffle and really catch different vibes, different type of styles. And in my future music, what I'm getting better at to really display my versatility is I'm gonna drop my projects with specific vibes of what I do. So I'm gonna have a vibe where it's just like more of my natural voice, or more of a like you said, darker, deeper, kind of harder, whatever, just more of, just more aggressive kind of energy to the project. Then I'll have my more melodic vibe. Then I might have a more spiritual type of essence, or I don't know, just different ways, just different versions of me, but just really emphasizing that through my albums in the best way I can, maturing and growing as into the artist I'm becoming.
It's funny, as soon as you said different versions of me, I had exactly the same thought that that it would be a cool idea to do over a period of time, to be like, all right, I'm going to show you all the parts of me. And it's like this part, this part, this part, and this part. And over like, you know, a journey of however many years, you can be like, hey, this is now the journey of me. This is like the exploratory version of like what I'm going through and how I deal with my challenges and come to terms with both the good and the bad. And I think that's an important part, is like, you know, I think a lot of us gravitate to people who we can kind of understand, and understanding different versions of is important. And understanding that as you do have like a light, fun version of yourself, but you also have the dark realist who can get sad and get angry and get frustrated at things. And I think that the kind of contradiction of them all helps create like a piece of work where it's like this over a body of time is ShaiVA.
It's great.
I just think you get to be able to be like, listen to these 4 projects. That's who I am, versus people who try to put it in one album, and it's too much for one album. Like one album is it's a lot to put your whole personality, your whole being in like 8 tracks. It's virtually impossible, because it's going to be like 2 tracks of each, and it's too jarring. It doesn't even make sense.
No, that's completely true, bro. You made some real valid points, and you understand exactly where I'm going with what I'm saying with the direction. So just me being the type of artist where I've made so many types of songs or put different types of projects together, I'm just trying to get better of, you know, my point, my point of emphasis with the projects now, or the theme or the vibe. I want it to be versatile within the vibe. The vibe's consistent, but it's different type of flows within this vibe. And then I go to the next vibe, and it's different type of styles within this vibe that I'm kind of giving you. It's a similar vibe, but it's different types of songs within it. It's not the same song. You know, a lot of artists, they just have that same type of, that's they go-to. They know that's what, I'm not that. You really can't find 2 songs that really sound exactly alike in my catalog.
Well, I think it's a cool marketing and selling point to be like, hey, you got to listen to 4 albums to get the full me. Because it becomes like a literally a long story. It's like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, or however many parts there are.
I never really thought about it like that, but the way you just broke that down made me really. I subconsciously, that's how I've been doing it. I put my, like, everything I put out this is the next part of where I am. I started off straight from the bottom. Was my first mixtape. I was homeless. There was I'm trying to get out the mud. I'm trying to get on my feet. You know, I'm telling people what it was like, and all different types of perspectives of just coming from the bottom. And then, you know, me moving from, you know, that area and then going to my next destination, and then, you know, figuring things out, just wanting to become better as a lyricist and get my flow right, and just focusing on just rapping my ass off, rapping wherever I went. And growing from that to learning how to really make good music and hop in these studios and start getting my shit out, and, you know, get people to know who I am. And going from that to actually, like, I need to really be doing music full time. I don't want to work. I want to be in the space of just creating music and getting to hopping off the porch when you in the streets, and you just hopping into the music game. Just like, I just gotta hop in, win, lose, or draw, what it is. This is where I want to be, and I'm gonna figure it out and get into that. And then, you know, and then once you get your foot in the door and people know who you are, then it's just about establishing and stamping and just making yourself a household name, or making yourself your presence here, you know, forever in the game, and just you solidifying your spot, which is where I'm in the middle of doing now, just solidifying my position.
Well, it's interesting because what we hear a lot of is like what we do. Like, I was here, now I'm here, and that's like the journey that we talk about. But what I
Yeah.
don't hear a lot of is like the surface underneath that. Like we got like that's quite deep because you got like rappers who obviously just talk about whatever. And then you've got
Yeah.
artists who are introspective, they talk about their journey. But what you don't hear too much, and is to be honest, I don't even know how it would be done. It's just an idea that I have, is like the parts within you, even deeper to the next level within, that are like you're dealing with yourself, like the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the good, the bad, the ugly, like why in this scenario you feel like this, or why this happens and then you react like this. Like those are the things that like in that journey of self could be a cool kind of like, yeah, 3 or 4 projects.
No, that definitely would definitely be dope. Just a real conceptual project of what I'm going through, what I'm battling, and how I respond and counteract. And now I'm gonna definitely take that into account. And I'm the type of person, like, I take, especially conversations like these, I feel like this is a real purposeful conversation. So everything that you're saying, everything that you're asking or putting out there is being valued and being processed, and it's going to inspire me and motivate me. I don't know what this conversation is going to do once I get off, but it's a good one. And once I know the energy is good, I just respond to it and, recreate how I felt through this into my art or into my business or whatever, into my motion to get to the next point. And I think that's all it's about, knowing how to channel your energy for a benefit for yourself.
Well, I mean, it just makes me happy because I just want hip hop to do well. Like I'm a fan of the music, so like there's no benefit for me to be like, give you bad energy or to like just do anything else. Like it's an important thing to me. Like I've loved hip hop for a long time, and I'm a kid that grew up in Australia, outside, the mecca of hip hop. So like, and I'm just like, hey, if a conversation that we have, whether it's planned or not, helps, then that's the important part. I did have, when I interviewed La Russell, he wrote down a few of the quotes that I said, and that was kind of the coolest thing ever. It was like, damn, it inspires me to have more conversations.
Now that means you doing what you love to do. You're good at what you're doing, and it shows. Like you come, you come prepared. And you're not even, you don't even have it prepared. So that's when you know that you meant to do it. But you prepared. Like me, like I didn't come prepared. I didn't have or was overthinking, and I just like, I'm ready. Like, you feel me? I'm ready for whatever bro asks, good, bad, or indifferent. You feel me? Like, I know, what I'm saying? I'm comfortable with who I am as a person, as an artist. So that's all that really, that matters when it comes down to it.
Well, I think the key is like, I don't like the planning aspect of it, because then you realize quite quickly that it's a question answer. Like it just becomes the format. And so you're like, okay, I'll answer next question. And it just becomes like this robotic version of it. And to be honest, I've had kind of some conversations where like it takes a while for the artist to warm up, but there's a point where like you can kind of put on a show for 30 minutes. But for an hour 15, it gets quite tough because you don't know what's coming next. And so like, I'm the type of person, and as I'm sure you can hear, I'm going to ask questions about the things you respond to me with. So right. Like, it is going to be a proper conversation. It's not going to be like, I'm going to pick this random shit out the air, although sometimes I do. But it's like, but that's the whole vibe that I want. Because like you said, anyone who listens to this wants to hear about you and who you are, not the pre-planned answers that you might have that you can do on a radio interview for 5 minutes.
Exactly. Like, so that's what I understand about this, about doing these. You feel me? If somebody who's never had a conversation before, or heard how I think music, or knew how I got about the jam, or how, whatever, you know what I mean? Just, I just try to give them the proper insight when I'm speaking about my music journey. Because, it could be somebody else that is up next. You feel me? I could say that thing that just puts that chill through their body. that gets them, you know what I mean? That gets them going. And then they shout me out. Like, yo, ShaiVA, I rock with ShaiVA. It's one of my favorite rappers because it's that and the third. He inspired me to do this. And I want it to be positive. I don't want nobody to say, yeah, ShaiVA inspired me to kill 3 people. Nah, that's not, you know. But that's not here or there. That's near here or there. But that's just what it's about, though, man. Whatever you do, I don't know what everybody else do it for, but I do it to inspire people to be the best version of themselves and get over. You know, a lot of people say when they hear my music, makes them, you know, they usually play it in the gym or when they're working out. Because a lot of my music, one thing about me is I have high energy, regardless. I just bring the energy through the music. You're gonna feel it. So, and when I'm performing, you're gonna feel the energy too that I put out. And that's, I think, the best quality or underrated aspect to my music that people, it's just the energy, like the lyrics, cool, whatever you want to. This, I just know I put that energy into it, and however it comes out is how it comes out. It's subjective to whatever you want to call it from there.
And obviously, if you're a fan, obviously let ShaiVA know. But I'm obviously aware of time, and I do have one more question for you. And as we spoke about questions that are not planned, this is the only question that I plan properly on the podcast. So I was full of shit when I said that I don't plan any. But if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once, cannot be your own album, can be any genre of music, what would it be?
Recommend one album?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll recommend one album.
Like, it doesn't have to be the best album of all time. It's just an album that you think everybody should listen to.
That I think is personally special. Let me really give me a couple seconds, because I know what I want to say, but I'm gonna make sure it's not one that it's like, but nah, that album. All right, I'm gonna say the Kanye Graduation album. I think, especially for hip hop, you know, true hip hop fans, that say maybe a young hip hop fan that doesn't really know about Kanye, they just know the Kanye today. They may not rock with that Kanye. That, oh, Kanye West, I don't know why. Go listen to. I mean, you can go back listen to his old whatever. I mean, I'm pretty sure people know Kanye like that, but I'll just say Kanye The Graduation. I love that album. It's probably one of the only albums that I actually like got physically, copied the CD, will play it every day on the way to school. You know what I mean? I had the actual, you know, when he had the cover art on it and everything. One of my favorite songs on it was Big Brother, when he spoke on how he felt about how Jay-Z made him feel. You know, I don't know, like, I just felt like Kanye was different. And with how he rapped and how he, you know, composed his music. So he was an inspiration to me. Also, like, inspiring artists that just outside of just an artist that I feel like people should check out is Meek Mill too. Check out Meek Mill in his early stages of his career, his Flamers 2 project. I would check that out. You know what I mean? It's a real gritty, you know, it's a real just gritty project, and it's creative as far as lyricism and punchlines and, you know, different type of beats. And, you know, yeah, I'll say that. I say that as far as, you know what I mean? Anything that I want people to hear that was special to me as far as rap.
Well, hard to be disappointed with Kanye. And I agree. I think that, you know, Kanye is bigger than what he does now. Like, people forget where he came from. Like, he's like this kind of enigma that people talk about. And
if you're young, if you're a 2000, like, if you're a young person, you probably don't really know how much Kanye's music really, you know, what it really did. Like, Kanye's one of the greatest musicians. So
yeah, and his sound was revolutionary. Like, literally changed the way people thought about making beats. People played with samples. Like, his production on his projects was like unheard prior
also,
to him.
I'll say he inspired artists like Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi's an artist, low key, that I love Kid Cudi's music. You know what I'm saying? And have you checked out my song "Die Today"?
No.
Check out my song "Die Today." and get back with me. And you'll see that was a song that was influenced by Kid Cudi, and just there's a point in time where, you know, I was just down, you know what I'm saying, and it's just where I was at and stuff, just thinking about different things just in my mind. Kid Cudi's a good artist where he can just you know, get you over that. The way he makes his music, I don't know, it resonated with me, and I wanted to make something to make people feel that same way, where they get that vibe from me, where they hear that and it just, you know, inspires them or makes them feel better about it in a sense.
Well, I think your whole energy, your whole purpose is to, you know, help people and kind of, you know, uplift them. So I absolutely love that. And for anyone that hasn't checked ShaiVA out, make sure you check him out. You can find him on IG. You can find him on obviously Spotify. You can find him on wherever you get your music as well. And as I said at the start of the podcast, New Realm Order just came out. So make sure you check it out. As I said, I think it's probably the most complete piece of work that you put together in terms of sonically. I think it just sounds really nice. So props to you, but make sure everybody check it out. But man, did you have anything else you wanted to plug before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you, man. This is a great podcast show we had. I feel like, you know, we had a lot of real things that we put out there for the people to hear. And yeah, man, y'all check me out. I have some new music dropping too. I have an album coming. I have a new sound that I'm working on right now. A couple of new sounds that I'm building off that. But I pretty much have some albums already lined up, like I said before, for you guys. So just be on the lookout, man. And thanks for having me, bro. Definitely love to speak to you again in the near future once I progress and drop some more.
Definitely sounds good. Well, I've been saying I'm planning to move on the US at some point. So hopefully the next time we do this, we can do this in person rather than through a screen, because as much as I like doing it like this, in person is going to be a lot better. So yeah, man, anytime.
I would love that, man. You have a wonderful and blessed, bro. Just keep me in contact onto what's next. Feel free to reach out anytime, bro.
Will do.